Where I grew up is a little town called Cumberland Gap, Tennessee. It's East Tennessee. It's I think the population, last time I checked, is about 500 people, and it's just a beautiful place where Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia all come together. And I was born in Knoxville. Then I was put up for adoption, and I wound up in a children's home called Holston Home for Children. That's still there, and still get to work with that place, and it's just a magical place to get to go back and visit. So I was adopted, so I got the last name Atkins after I was adopted. But I did find out after I got to town, and people started asking if I was related to Chet, and found out that my dad's great-grandfather and Chet Atkins' great-grandfather are actually brothers. And I didn't know this. I named my son Elijah Atkins, and that was Chet Atkins' great-grandfather's name. Didn't know that at the time, but you know where I grew up is a big bluegrass place. A lot of bluegrass music is played there in Cumberland Gap, and it's front porches where people play. And I guess where I first started playing guitar and learning chords and started to write songs, I dated a girl when I was a junior in high school, and went to her house, and her dad was out there cleaning his gun. And the guy played guitar. His name's Donnie Powers. And she had a little brother named Philip Powers, and they taught me my first chords on a guitar. They taught me kind of everything, and I would just sit around on the front porch, and it was crazy, man, because the neighbors would show up, and cousins and kinfolk, and we would sit there and just play songs. And I learned. The girl and I broke up. I think that was divine intervention, because it inspired me to write about my broken heart and get out of town. But that's where I first started, playing guitar, trying to write songs, and it's just a great musical place. When I first came to Nashville, I basically grew up in East Tennessee, and I kept moving west when I went off to college. I went to Tennessee Tech, and that's in Cookeville, about 90 miles from Nashville. I met some guys that wrote songs and started writing a few songs. And that became my dream, was to try to be a songwriter here in Nashville. And I came and played at a few writers' nights and got a little bit of attention from a few people and asked me to come to some meetings. And never did I ever plan on getting up in front of people and singing. I kind of wrote that off, that can't do that. Man, I'd get up in front of people and sing, and I'd have a glass of water and try to clear my throat, and I'd wind up shaking the water out of the glass before I could even get a drink. I really wanted to couldn't be a doctor, but wanted to do something that would touch people's lives, and I tried to be conscious of that in the songs that I've recorded. And when you find out that you're nominated for these big-time awards that you've, as a kid, watching on TV, your heroes and influences being nominated and on these shows. I'll never forget that on the year at the ACM Awards, when I was nominated for several awards and won the new artist award, and I ran into I was taking my son to the bathroom in the commercial break at the awards, and I ran into Garth Brooks. He said, "Hey, Rodney." And it just blew me away that he even knew my name. And so it's pretty surreal to be a part of that. It's just to be validated as the best new artist in country music at that time was very cool, very gratifying. When I first moved to town, and I remember Alan Jackson was having a greatest hits album, and I just started, I was thinking, how cool would that be to have enough hit songs to have a greatest hits album? Because you kind of take it for granted when you're just seeing it from a distance, people come up with greatest hits albums. It blew me away, and it made me even kind of sink in deeper when I'm playing these songs live, and not to change them up and just to sing the song. And they're pieces of people's lives. And I got to hear more stories about people coming up and saying, "That's me and my kid song. That's our song. That's me and my boy. That's me and my girl." Or that song got me through the toughest time of my life. that it's a real thing. I've been blessed with these songs that are more than a hit goes up the charts, down the charts, but people can forget those songs in 2 weeks. These are songs that have been around, and it blows me away. I guess the greatest hits thing, that's what it does, man. It blows me away at how I've been blessed when the odds were really not in my favor. And it makes you take into account from my childhood, from just how many things were not in my favor and how blessed I am to be here and doing this. And I just kind of get you fired up to have a few more. My first introduction to a McPherson. So we were doing a show with Little Big Town. Had never met those guys before. And all our stuff got lost somewhere. So it didn't make it to the venue. Man, those guys came up and found out about that. And Jimmy Westbrook said, man, just take my guitar, play it. It's yours. Have at it. And I was just thinking, what a very nice thing to do. And when I got his guitar and played it, it just was, I was like, wow, man, this is unbelievable. And so it was just through an act of charity that I first got introduced to the McPherson. After that, a guy that I wrote with when I first came to town named Bruce Geitch. And Bruce is, I don't even know how to describe how that guy plays. He's the sweetest guy in the world, and he plays like a monster, man. He plays harder and better than anybody I've ever been around. That's just the truth. He can play one chord, I don't know, 15 different ways. And we wrote together early on, and now Bruce has had cuts by Richard Marx, Madonna, I don't know, just a lot of huge, there was no reason he should have written with me. And Bruce called me, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago and told me that he'd started working with McPherson, and I think he was playing some other kind of expensive guitar. And he said he got rid of all his other guitars, that the McPhersons were the best things he'd ever touched. And then before I was going on a USO tour, he got me in contact with Larry, the guys at McPherson, and that's how I kind of first started getting to actually play these unbelievable guitars. I was always in pursuit of a guitar that sounded big and full, and I don't consider myself a good guitar player. I play too hard. Intonation is all over the place. And I was always looking for, like when I got to see Dan Fogelberg in concert a long time ago, and that guitar just sounded big as a house. I found out later that, asking, how do you get that sound? How do you get that sound? That he ran through these special amps and all this kind of stuff. But I could never get that sound, and I struggled with it forever. And once I started playing the McPherson, it was just fixed. It just all came together. It sounded warm. I play a lot softer because the pickups are unbelievable. Everything that you hear about them, that a guitar that looks like this is going to be something special. You know that. And then to just accomplish, I've tried amps, I've tried miking, I've tried everything in the world, and all I do with this is plug it in. That's the truth, because I'm not an amp guy. I don't know squat about that kind of stuff. I'm a sit on the front porch and pick guy, and when I go out and play these shows, I want them to be that way, and I don't want to spend a lot of time researching sound. Some people they enjoy that. I don't. You just want it to sound warm, and it's kind of like when you go and you start singing live and you got all the sound equipment and everything. It's a big change. It's something that you don't really want to have to think about. You just want to be able to sing. You just want to be able to play like you're sitting here now. And man, it's the first time in my life we just got surpassed, I think, 10 million records sold. And just in the last year, have I got to be comfortable on stage with a guitar. It's pretty amazing to go out and get to play that and confidently know it's going to sound And people come up all the time going, "Oh my God!" I think we had to send one to in traveling. One of my McPhersons got something came loose in there, so we sent it back to McPherson. Obviously, they turned it around in like 2 days, and there was a day out there that I didn't have it, and it was crazy. I'd been spoiled rotten with how this thing sounded, and it's drastic, and how you play affects how you sing, and it was like a train wreck all of a sudden. And when we went to USO tour is when I got to use one of the carbon fiber guitars. It was unbelievable, man, because I could have been rowing a boat with that thing. Jumping out and playing for a bunch of Marines in the middle of nowhere. And we did. We played in the rain. We played in the mud. We played in the freezing rain. It was cold. I think it got up to 105, 110 degrees. We're at Fobs. We're way out in the middle of nowhere. And that thing was boom, man. It was unbelievable how that thing, the intonation, I don't even understand it because I really am hard on a guitar. I don't chord correctly and stuff. But it doesn't matter. It stays in tune. You plug that thing in. People freak out when they find out that the carbon fiber guitar is actually, electric too. And it just sounds huge. It sounds big. Like I use in-ear monitors. And it sounds that way in your ears in front of house. And the majority of the time on a USO tour, you're not playing through sound equipment. You're doing a couple of those with sound. The rest is not. So that thing just hung in there, man. I don't even think I broke a string. That's what's crazy. I think I play better. I play more finesse. It seems impossible for me, but that's the truth. I've got to use these guitars in some extreme conditions, and they don't change. They're always there. It's something you can count on, and that's crucial in what we do for consistency.